It's impossible to name the definitive work of Quincy Jones, the multidisciplinary maestro who died on November 3 after helping shape nearly every artistic medium for more than 60 years. But one that first leaps to mind is likely Thriller, Michael Jackson's spooky funk pop smash that served as the title track to the most commercially successful album in history. Like Jones himself, who produced the record, the perennial Halloween anthem was a multimedia affair encompassing music, film, television, dance, and fashion. More than 40 years since its release in 1982, Thriller represents an apex of artistic collaboration by a creative team at the peak of their powers. Moreover, it continues to fill dance floors across the globe. Read on to learn more about the all-time music classic, and for more behind-the-scenes stories and little-known details about Thriller, check out the recent episode of the iHeartRadio podcast, Too Much Information, hosted by former POPL editors Jordan Runtav and Alex Heigl. Michael Jackson first rose to fame in the early 70s as the pint-sized frontman of Motown's Jackson 5. But Jackson became a bona fide superstar with his first solo album for Epic Records, Off the Wall, for which he enlisted Quincy Jones as producer. Upon the record's release in 1979, Epic made the then unusual move of promoting it simultaneously to pop and R&B markets, which helped Off the Wall become an enormous crossover success. After that, Jackson and Jones aimed to go bigger. The impetus was to have every song be a hit. Larry Williams, who played saxophone, flute, and synths on the album, told the New York Post in 2022. That was the mandate. Speaking to Rolling Stone in 2009, Jones admitted that creating a record with this goal required far more than just the two of them. Michael didn't create Thriller. It takes a team to make an album. He wrote 4 songs and he sang his ass off, but he didn't conceive it. That's not how an album works. The secret MVP of the entire Thriller project is Rod Temperton, who is such a relentlessly low-key guy that both a biography and a BBC documentary about his career were titled The Invisible Man. A musical kid growing up in Lincolnshire, England, Temperton eventually joined a multiracial disco-funk band called Heatwave on keyboards and started contributing originals. His biggest hits for the band, Booby Nights and the ballad Always and Forever, were both million sellers and helped break the band in America, which is how he came to the attention of Quincy Jones. Temperton left Heatwave in 1978 with the intention of focusing on his writing. It was not a career decision in the sense of I knew what I was going to do, he later told the BBC. I had no idea where I was going. If I was any good, somebody will call me, I guess. That somebody ended up being Jones. Impressed by the Heatwave hits, Jones called Temperton in 1978 and liked his demos enough to fly him to LA on weekends to work on Off the Wall. The initial plan was for Temperton to contribute just one song to the album, but Jackson recorded all 3 that he offered. Burn This Disco Out, Rock With You, and the title track, Off the Wall. When working on Thriller, 24-year-old Jackson wrote only 4 of the tracks himself: Wanna Be Startin' Something, The Girl Is Mine, Beat It, and Billie Jean. The others were selected by Jones and Temperton. In his 2001 autobiography, Hugh, the autobiography of Quincy Jones, Jones claimed that he and Temperton listened to nearly 600 songs before picking out a dozen we liked. Jones would put that figure at 800 in other interviews, but he's consistently said that around 30 of these were written by Temperton. As they grew acquainted, Temperton quickly honed in on Jackson's love of movies, which ultimately inspired the title track. I came up with the idea that I should write something really theatrical, he told M Magazine in 2012. I've been really impressed with Michael's participation in the rhythm section when recording the Off the Wall song, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, so I wanted to write something with the same power, but a really dramatic melody structure. Jackson's passion for film didn't extend to the horror genre, however. He described himself as too scared for anything fright-inducing. This probably was the result of paternal trauma. Years earlier, Jackson claimed his father Joe tried to teach him a lesson about leaving his bedroom windows open by climbing in one night wearing a mask and shouting at Jackson. The approach worked too well, and the boy endured recurring nightmares about being kidnapped. Temperton recorded the demo for what would become Thriller on a 2-track Revox tape machine in his cluttered German apartment. He had piles of washing and had the TV on top of the organ, a friend recalled to the BBC. It was a nightmare. He had trams running outside.